So a company has adopted the AWS multi-account strategy using AWS organizations. They have created networking, application, and analytics account. Now, instead of every account creating resources in the cloud, they such as VPC or subnets, let's say networking resources in the cloud, they give that sole responsibility to the networking account to create these resources and then share the resources via AWS Resource Access Manager. What this does is that it allows for other accounts to access these resources without necessarily going through the hassle of creating them all over again. It also streamlines the creation of many resources that may not be necessary, and it helps save costs. So let's see how we can share AWS Subnet using the AWS Resource Access Manager. So let's create a VPC. Right, so that's that. Let's just create our own VPC. Then we create subnets. Create subnet inside our test VPC. Subnet name, we'll just call it subnet A. Subnet A, availability zone. I'll take the US one and move there. See what we can get to. 0.1 and 0 T is 24. Let's see if that should go up. Yep. Now we've created subnet A, now we'll create subnet B and see how that goes. Subnet name, we call it subnet B. So there's preference. Yes, it's this, and then we do 10.0.2.0 and 24. Yep, and that's good to go. Okay, so I have created AWS Organization that I'll be sharing my resource with. So I'll go now and try to share my resources. Do not forget to turn on your Resource Access Manager settings to enable sharing with AWS Organization. If you don't do this, you won't be able to go forward. So I like to use test share, if that makes sense anyway. Choose the resource type to add. Let's see. Subnets. Yep. So it's going to display the subnet I've created, usually the one with the custom VPC. It will not show the default VPC for you. So I'm going to select one of the subnets, and then that's that. I'll share subnet B. It usually has only one managed permission for subnet for this type of resource, just one managed permission that has all of these policies attached to it. So I'm going to go ahead. That's okay for me. I'll allow sharing only within organizations I've created in my account. I can share with anyone with AWS account anyway. But I'm going to use this instead since I've created AWS Organization. So I'm going to share the resource with an organizational unit. Here I have this organization, I have the structure here. So I'm going to choose from one of these, and then I'll allow it to share the the subnet within my VPC, as the case may be. So I've selected the organizational unit I want. I've the policy is already attached to it. Everything is set. So I have successfully created a resource share within my organizational unit. So this account can now access the account I have shared with the resource with, will be able to access the subnet and spin up EC2 there. You won't be able to modify the subnet or the VPC or any networking resources, but it will be able to create EC2 instance in the subnet. So I'm in the organizational unit, the account that I shared the subnet with. So I'm going to try and see if I can launch an EC2 instance in that subnet. Call it test server. See it out. So when I come in here now, I'll see if I can edit the networking setting and see what I can do. So see, here it is. I did not create this VPC in this account, but because I have activated sharing of resources via the Resource Access Manager, I can access the VPC and the subnet that I created from earlier in the other account. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to see, yep, this is the VPC I created. That's the default VPC. This is the custom VPC. And the subnet immediately selected itself. The subnet ID, subnet CIDR is 10.0.2. Yes, that's the one. So everything is just pretty simple at the moment. I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, that's all I need. Proceed with housekeeping and see if I can launch this instance. Yeah, and here we go. Amazing. So by sharing resources that I didn't originally create in this account via the Resource Access Manager, I am able to use that resource in this account without creating it again. So using the resource sharing actually helps when you don't want every account to create, let's say the analytics account to spin up EC2 instance, they have to create their own networking they have to set up their own networking environment from VPC to subnet. So every account keeps creating VPC and subnet, and before you know it, you have an ecosystem of so many resources that are just not being used. So it is better if you can have this responsibility dedicated to the networking account, and they can create the VPC and then share the subnet or the resource that is needed with other accounts via the Resource Access Manager.